can click on our former or past episodes on our YouTube channel. Just search Atara Collective. I would also like for you to sign up to our mailing list to be the first person to know of any of our events, inshallah. This session will go for 2 hours from 4:30 or say 4:35 to 6:30, inshallah. We'll have a short lecture for 30 minutes and start to take questions. We'd like for you to drop questions in our chat box, so you can send to at the Tara Collective just in the chat room, and then I can see them in case you want the message to be anonymous and not to be seen by everyone. Once again, Jazakumullah Karen for joining. I would allow our Imam to start, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Imam.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن استنى بسنته واهتدى بهديه إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد، سبحانك اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Indeed, all the thanks and all the praises are due to Allah the Almighty, who has made it possible for us to be once again together on this very important series, the Tahara Collective. I want to appreciate the organizers of this program for having a student like me on this platform. I keep saying this, that, you know, when you talk about ask a scholar, and actually this is the opposite we're having here now. We're asking a student like everyone else. So whenever you see me got the answer correctly, then it's one of the things I have gleaned from my malam, and mashallah. And if you see me making an error, then I'm a human being, and I admit I'm a student, and I remain a student for life. So I'm open to correction from whichever angle based on the Quran and the Sunnah. May Allah in His mercy continue to guide us all aright and increase our steadfastness in His path. I want to start today because of my experience and where I am. I'm actually talking to us from Mecca, and I have gathered a few experiences since I arrived during the Hajj experience and the post-Hajj period, and I would like to share some of these experiences with us. I've had the cause to discuss this with some of our brothers here, and I feel that it's going to be instructive and important that we should bring it to the fore in this discussion before the question and answer session starts. The first experience I'd like to share with us is on the Ismail, Hajar, the wife of Nabilahi Ibrahim alayhi salatu salam, and the other experience is the Muzdalifah experience. Now, to start with the Hajar experience, today we have pilgrims who do after the tawaf, they go for the sa'i. The sa'i here means the movement hastening between the Safa and Marwa. Now, historically, we need to understand that this movement was not just, today we have people who do the sa'i between Safa and Marwa, and they have their phones in their hands, they're doing selfies. Today we have people who do sa'i and the gisting. Today we have people who do sa'i under the comfort of the air condition, and of course that place can be very cold sometimes. Today we have people who do sa'i in a very comfortable environment. I want to remind you and myself that the sa'i done by Hajar, that there was sa'i that was done in pain. It was a sa'i that was done in a state of a person who is, getting to a state of hopelessness. But she wouldn't allow herself to be hopeless. It was a sign that was done in hot sun of the desert when Hajar was looking all over. Now the first question is, why did Hajar do the sa'i? Hajar did the sa'i because she was in search of water for the baby Ismail. And the reason for this was that Ibrahim alayhi salatu salam brought Hajar and Ismail to the barren land of Mecca, according to Allah's instruction. Allah directed Ibrahim to bring them down there based on his guidance. And when he got there, he asked them to alight. And when they alighted, the mother and the baby, when he dropped them off, he had to take off. He had to leave. And when he was about to leave, Ibrahim was in the state of sobriety, and Hajar could see this in him. But what she couldn't understand was why. Why would you bring us here? So she asked him, why did you bring us here? Ibrahim, no answer. Alayhi salatu salam. So she asked him again, why did you bring us here? Ibrahim again, no answer. So at the third point, he said, was it Allah that asked you to bring us here? Allahu amaraka bihada? Did Allah ask you to bring us here? Then Ibrahim said yes. Then she said, then you can go because Allah lan yudayya'na. Allah will not leave us alone. Now, there's something instructive here, and I want us to note that the mother of Ismail, that was Hajar, she did not, behave like what we call an average woman would behave. How would an average woman behave? An average woman will rant, will fret, will chaff, and will complain. Hey, why would you bring us here? And keep in mind that day that Ibrahim had her and the other sister, that is the mother of Ishaq, she wasn't the only wife with Ibrahim. So an average woman will rant and the friend, and she will fume and she will complain. But the mother of Hajar trusted in Allah that if it was Allah who had asked you to bring us here, then Allah won't leave us alone. With this, Ibrahim left them. And if you've been to Hajj, you discover that where the Kaaba was built now, of course, close to that was the Safa and Marwa. And if you've been to the Haram, you discover that the Kaaba was on this side, and the mount of Safa and Marwa were they on the right position of the Kaaba based on where you enter from anyway. Now it was a valley. Now you need to descend, from what you call Jabal Umar. Then when you climb it, you descend. When you descend, then you will see the Kaaba. Now when you are going back again, you have to climb and then you descend the other end. So when Ibrahim rode and descended the other end, he could not see them again, and they couldn't see him. At that point, Ibrahim made the popular dua in Surah to Ibrahim, "O Allah, inni askantu min dhurriyyati biwadin ghayri dhi zara' inda baytika al-muharram." Allahu Akbar. With pain, fill his heart. He said, "Ya Allah, according to your instruction, I have just settled my progeny, my wife and my son here by your house, your sacred house, in order that they might establish prayer and others." And then he prayed for them. فَجَعَلْ أَفْئِدَةً مِنَ النَّاسِ تَهْوِي إِلَيْهِمْ وَارْزُقْهُم مِنَ الطَّيِّبَاتِ وَلَعَلَّهُمْ يَشْكُرُونَ. When he prayed, he made this dua. Allah accepted it, and that was the state Ismail and Hajar was. Now, as a human being, you feel pain. Hajar could not withhold seeing the baby crying because the hot sun of Arabia was biting on the baby and biting on the mother. Hajar tried to feed Ismail with the milk from her udder, but the milk in her udder got dried, no water to replace, no replenishment. It was at that point that Hajar left Ismail in the hot sun, and climbed Safa. Why did she climb? She was looking for help. She went up and then she ran to the Marwa. She climbed up, and she ran back, and she did about 7 times. At the end of the day, she came back and met water gushing out of the heel of Ismail's leg, and that was the water of Zamzam. Now, with this water, Allah attracted the people to her. The people from the Jurhum tribe, they came settle with her, and she had the family, companionship, and others. Alhamdulillah. Now, the point here is this: the Safa and Marwa experience is something that we can connect with, we can resonate with. How can we do that? If you think you are in a hopeless situation, think about the state of Hajar and Ismail that day. It was a state of hopelessness, but Hajar did not allow hopelessness to settle within her subconscious. She didn't allow it. She feels that, well, Allah made us to come here. He will take care of us. But what she did was, as a human being, she needs to do a bit search for water. And eventually she discovered that la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Because the water actually came not as a result of her sex, but she did what she did on account of the yearning and the passion of a mother to care for the baby. And with that, eventually, Allah accepted her prayer. She got the water, she got the companionship, the tribe became stir with her, and from amongst them, Ismail grew up and then got married amongst them and settled with them. This was the Hajar experience or sa'i between Safa and Marwa. Now, on the other hand, is the Muzdalifah experience. You see, if you belong to the category of people who see yourself as being um, ultimately important, more important than every other person, you have the numero uno idea or the plenipotential idea that you know beyond, more than anybody else, or you are more important than anybody else. Maybe on account of the knowledge Allah might give to you, maybe on account of the wealth of dunya that Allah might give to you, maybe on account of what earthly position or whatever authority in the land that Allah has given to you. Now learn from the Muzdalifah experience. Now we all started from nobody, and out of nobody, Allah might have made somebody out of you today. Remember the Muzdalifah experience that Allah made pilgrims to go through the Muzdalifah experience where everybody coming from Arafah will settle down on Ibia ground. I mean, literally Ibia ground. Here you have people, important personalities who had, sprawling residents and all these big men, to use the word now, who had to sleep on ordinary mats under the bridge in the street of Muzdalifah. Here, you have no distinction. And I give an example of a senior colleague of mine who was, resting in a place where dust was settling on him. And I saw the dust settling on him, and I told him, sir, could you leave this place, go to somewhere else? He said, that everywhere is the same here, man. Everywhere is the same. Everywhere there's dust. And actually, there was a lot of dust. People moving all over the places, and there everybody has to sleep. Now, this is a lesson that Allah wants to teach every human being. We all will have a Muzdalifah someday. Today, you might live in the huge palace, the nice bed, the beautiful houses, and all of us are good at decorating our houses, our water view, and fine and good, no problem. But remember that you're going to have the Muzdalifah experience someday when you enter the grave. There you won't have your water bed, you won't have your AC, there you won't have all the comfort. It is going to be like every other grave, just like Muzdalifah was just like every other person. We all slept on the same mat, man. No difference. So in the same vein, we all will have the same experience right in the grave. Now, what should this remind us, you and I? For the arrogant mind who sees himself or herself as being more important and always luxuriate this idea that you're more important and better than any other person, if this settles in your mind, then let one thing today be done on you, that you are not better than anybody else. Yes, Allah has given you the karama of life. Yes, Allah has elevated you. Yes, Allah has honored you. But don't you ever forget that it was Allah who did it, not you. And I know. A lot of people react like Qarun react. In Surah Al-Qasas, when Qarun was told to remember Allah and give thanks, give shukr to him, what did Qarun say? And a number of people will say the same thing today. Qarun said, "Qala innama utituhu ala ilmin indi." That I got all this connection, I got all this wealth, I got all this position, wealth, and of course, Qarun had enormous wealth, stupendous wealth. So Qarun's reaction was, I got all this wealth on account of my knowledge, connection and all this, and eventually Kabul was perished. So if you are in the position of claiming that, oh, I got all this because of I did effort, I worked so hard, I I did my business, I had my promotion, I had my exam, I was very intelligent. Hey, excuse me, can you be more intelligent than the giver of life? Can you be more smart than the giver of life? The Lord who elevated you? If he decides to relegate you, can you stop it? No. So my Muzdalifa take with you today is that, look, everyone should remember we all share the same background, and that is birth. And we all will share the same destination, and that is death. Between birth and death, anything can happen. It could make a king out of you, it could make a president out of you, it could make whatever out of you. You entered with nothing. Thereafter, you had your wife, you had your husband, you had your children, you had your family, you had your parents, you had everybody. At the end of the road, you live with nothing, with nobody with you. That is the most valuable experience. And every other thing, every other experience you might have had becomes like a dream, like a mirage. So remember, in everything that you say, in all that you do, remember the most valuable experience. That with nothing you came, with nothing you will go back. So with this, we can hold back a little bit. Like an hobbling cord here. It's gonna hold you back, to hobble you back. That whenever you want to go beyond that, beyond the limit, you want to speak like the kafir will speak arrogantly. You remind yourself that I should remember the Muzdalifah experience. And with this, I believe that Allah in His mercy will keep us steadfast in His way and will make it easy for us to navigate through life successfully. And of course, ultimately, is a believer's goal is the ultimate pleasure of Allah. How do we get the mercy of Allah? How do we get the pleasure of Allah before we depart the earthly life? It is my prayer for you and myself that Allah would please with us before taking our souls. And Allah will count us amongst the righteous servants before Him and will make us to be one of the chosen servants in His presence. If Latifa and organizers will permit me, I want to use this medium to pray for my mother. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be merciful to her and make her life easy for her. She's in a very extreme old age now. And sometimes when I make this kind of dua, I try to connect with this. And I want to use this medium for every participant on this forum. Please join me in making dua for my mother and for all our parents. And Allah will have mercy on them and grant them His mercy in this dunya and grant them Jannah in the afterlife. I want to thank you most profoundly. I'm going to pause here. Then we can take questions and then we can continue from that going forward, inshallah. Thank you for having me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khairan, sir. And I hope that we all learned one or two things from the short lecture. Right now is the Q&A time where we take questions and we allow our Imam to provide answers. As I earlier said in the chat box, kindly send all your questions, any question that you might have, into the chat box, or if you prefer to send to me personally, just send to the Tara Collective, or you can also send to Imam if you want to stay anonymous. So we took a couple of questions from our Instagram page, and we'll take that before taking the questions in our chat box. So the first question we got here says, I'm still confused on the sujood of forgetfulness and addition. Can you kindly help provide answers to that? So I think the person is seeking answers to the sujood of forgetfulness and addition.
Okay, thank you very much. The sujood of forgetfulness is called sujood sahwi in Salat. Sujood sahwi could be actually in the reports. Most of the reports in the Sihah is that Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam makes the sujood of forgetfulness either before the taslim or after the taslim. So from the explanation given by our scholars, particularly Imam Malik bin Anas and other notable ai is that you take sujudu qabli when you have the forgetfulness of nuqsan, when you make reduction in salat. That is forgetfulness of, keep in mind, this forgetfulness are those forgetfulness that have to do with wajibat, those compulsory things in salat. For example, there are things you need to do in salat. You need to recite, after Surah Al-Fatiha, you need to recite another surah. If you forgot to recite another surah, then you have to do sujood sahwi. If you forgot to sit down in the first tashahhud, if you're praying 4 units rakat prayer, then you have to do sujood sahwi. And then for example, if you forgot to do tashahhud, in the state of salat, you do sujood sahwi. And amongst others, all the tasbih, these are part of the wajibat of salat, or as-sunan al-mu'akkada fi salat. Now, when you make this mistake, then you have to correct them whenever, if you make a reduction, you do, before your taslim, you do 2 sajda, then you sit back. When you sit back, then you do your taslim. Keep it, let me repeat myself again. Now you are in the last sitting. You've done your tashahhud. After tashahhud, the next thing for you is to do the taslim. But before the taslim, you do 2 prostrations. If you omitted a particular sunnah, when you come back, sit down, you don't repeat the tashahhud again, just do assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And that, you have solved that problem. However, if you had added, right, if you had added, then you had added a particular wajiba or sunnah mu'akkada in salat, then what you do is you pay it back after the taslim, then you do the sujood. For example, you recited, in the 3rd rakah or the 4th rakah, we don't recite surah. Or you recited, you're supposed to recite silently, but you recited aloud. Now you have added, right? You're supposed to have 2 sitting. The first tashahhud, sitting after 2 rakah, but you made a mistake in sitting down again at the 3rd rakah. Then you remember, you now added the 4th rakah, you had the last sitting, and with that, it becomes an addition. That you have to pay it back after your taslim by doing after the taslim, you do 2 prostrations. For example, you've done your tashahhud, you've done your taslim. After the taslim, you go back and observe 2 sujood. Allahu Akbar, then Allahu Akbar. You sit down, you don't repeat another tashahhud again. You do the taslim, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, again to the right and to the left. And that handles the aspect of sujood sahwi. Now keep in mind that sujood sahwi takes care of the sunnah aspect. It doesn't take care of arkan of salat. The arkan of salat, for example, if you miss out takbiratul ihram, the first takbir you say at the point of entering the prayer, that first one, Allahu Akbar, is compulsory. It's a ruknu. It's not just compulsory, it's a ruknu min arkan salat, without which salat cannot hold. This one, sujood sahwi, cannot hold it. It means the salat is not well established. Or you didn't recite Surah Al-Fatiha. In that case, sujood sahwi cannot correct it. Surah Al-Fatiha, no. In that case, the salat is not balanced. Or you didn't make ruku. Then and other examples like that. Then in that case, sujood sahwi cannot. What corrects is that you have to annul that rakah, take another rakah if you're already in the middle of the prayer. If you're just starting, you have to start all over afresh, and then you continue with the rest of the prayer. May Allah in His infinite mercy increase our knowledge and grant us His mercy. Amen.
The second question we have is, do women have to do takbir to the ihram before praying, before the beginning of salat?
The question is, do women have to do takbiratul ihram? Yes, everybody has to do takbiratul ihram. What is optional for women is the iqama. Iqama is optional, but Takbiratul Ihram is the first Allahu Akbar that you say at the point of entering the prayer itself. That is rukn. Without it, salat cannot hold. So it has to be said by both gender, men and women.
Thank you, sir. Our next question says, can we pray salat in our mother's tongue? I'm not so sure what exactly that means, but that's the question.
Okay, fine. The answer is no, because okay, let me explain now. You see, salat is not like it's not like the construct of Rasulullah. It's not what Rasulullah constructed by him from his wings and caprices. Salat is a revelation. And I don't want to take us through the process of Isra and Miraj. You know, if Salat was a revelation, like Allah revealed the Quran. Salat was revealed. You know, so because of the fact that Salat was revealed, it has to be done the way it was revealed. Now, the exception to this, what I mean is that it has to be done the way the Prophet did it. And it clearly states in his hadith, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli. Pray as you have seen me pray. The exception to this is that someone that finds it difficult to recite has to effort or still making effort to recite Surah Al-Fatiha. You know, like the case of Salman al-Farisi, when he became a Muslim, what Rasulullah, he found it difficult to recite Fatiha. What Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him to do was to do glorification of Allah in Salat. Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar. He said it standing, he said Allahu Akbar, he said Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. He said it standing. After that, he goes for ruku. Subhanallah. Subhanallah means glory be to Allah. Walhamdulillah. Praise be to Allah. Wa la ilaha illallah. No deity but Allah. Allahu Akbar. Allah is great. He goes to ruku. Rise from ruku. Subhanallah. The same thing with all the points of salat. That's what it says. Because he or she may not have captured what to be recited. That one is acceptable. But for someone who knows and he feels that you can say salat in your mother's tongue, that one will not be acceptable because salat is a revelation. However, I need to add quickly, because there are areas that I've seen people who just come into salat and salat makes no impact on them, and it's sad. How do I mean? We should learn to, because salat is not like a senseless jabber. It's not, what you say in salat is not senseless jabber. It's something that is understandable, something that you should understand. Now, it means that when you recite Surah Al-Fatiha, in your mother's tongue, the meaning should resonate through your heart. That's what I mean here. As you recite the Surah Al-Fatiha in the Arabic, for example, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, in my mind, what is going in my mind is, oh Allah, I praise you, you're the Lord of the worlds. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, oh Allah, I exalt your mighty name, you're the most gracious, the most merciful. I'm not saying this out, I'm not excogitating it, but I'm saying it loudly in my heart. Malik Yawmiddin, all powers in the heavens and the earth belongs to you, because you are the owner of the day of judgment. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Oh Allah, I give my entire life unto you. I worship you for the rest of my life. I will not serve any other deity but you. I submit my life to you, and you alone I will worship for the rest of my life. Now, what am I saying? I'm saying it in Arabic, but I'm connecting with the meaning I'm saying it in English, right? So you can say it in Igbo, in Yoruba, in whatever, that connect. You see, if your salat, like Rasulullah says that, as-salatu mi'raj al-mu'min. The salat is a spiritual experience. It's a spiritual experience or ascension of the Muslim. So if you pray, and I've seen brothers who pray in emptiness, Rasulullah said they have no salat. And that's the truth. Because they just hop. It's not salah here, man. Because if you go with the meaning, you're standing. Like I do say, when I say Allahu Akbar, before I make dua al-istiftah, as I'm making dua al-istiftah, I tell my heart in my heart, oh Allah, my legs are standing before your majesty I stand. I stand, I glorify you with your holy name and mighty name. No like unto you. Well, I'm not saying this out, but I'm saying this in my heart, but I'm saying dua with istiftah, with my tongue. Meaning, meaning that whatever I'm saying it based on the understanding that I know what I'm talking about. And the same thing applies to all of us. We all should try to admit and adapt to this. May Allah make it easy for us to go by it at all times.
I mean,
If you permit me, if you permit me, I'm going to take just one question. So it's time for Maghrib here.
Oh, yes.
So like yeah, it's time for Maghrib here. I will want to ask for permission. Let me pray Maghrib here. Then after Salat in Maghrib, then I can rush back and then we can continue. Let me take one more question.
Okay. This says, how can we calculate halal profit margin? Halal profit margin. How do we calculate halal profit margin? I don't know if that's a question then.
I don't understand this question anyway, but I'm not a financial expert. But if there are parameters in calculating it, I think we can learn from you on this calculation. I don't know what you meant by calculating halal profit margin, but I know is that basically and fundamentally, every earning of a Muslim should be halal. Everything that you earn should be halal based. If it is not halal, then you are eating fire into your belly. And of course, whatever is it that you nourish yourself with haram, Allah will use fire to burn it on the day of Qiyamah. May Allah protect us from the hell of Jahannam. Ameen.
Okay, so would allow our Imam to pray Maghrib. He'll be back in inshallah 5 minutes. We can just do like a quick chat before he's back. So Imam would see you in 5 minutes, inshallah. So, okay. Okay, so I would just like to inform us of some of our activities that we do aside our Ask a Scholar series. I don't know if we have new participants or new audiences on here. If this is your first time, I want to say very big Jazakumullah Karen for being here. Thank you so very much. We also have community gatherings that we do. Inshallah, we always have it like the first Sundays of every month. Inshallah, we already had one for this month, and we hope to have one on the first Sunday of next month. We also have new activities for us, inshallah, that will pass, so will let us know. That's why we want you to sign up to our mailing list. I already sent the link earlier. I can also do that one more time. Please send all your questions to the group, to the chat box, please. Inshallah, when the Imam is back, it just took 5 minutes. When the Imam is back, we'll take more questions. We would end the session, inshallah, by 6:30. So the earlier you send your questions, the earlier we can also take them. So please send all your questions to the chat box. So if you would prefer to ask them verbally, please raise your hand. We would only allow audio, voice. We can always allow you turn on your audio, and so that you can ask the Imam himself. But right now he has gone from our group. We also have an option of you sending your questions to our Instagram page, where we have a question box. Tahara Collective, you can just search and then drop your questions there. So we'll just give our Imam a few minutes and he'll be back very soon. Kindly stay tuned. We hope that you have as many questions as you want to ask our Imam. Thank you for joining our program, Steve. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I'm so sorry that we're taking a little bit of our time. We hope that you stay with us and not leave. We're still getting a couple of questions, and I can see someone's hand is raised right now. We are hoping that Imam will be back as soon as he can. He's saying his mobile right now as he is currently in Mecca. Continue to kindly continue to send your any or questions in the chat box. We have some, and we would not mind that you send in more questions. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you for staying tuned.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May I accept your salat? Thank you everyone for staying tuned. Imam is back and would continue from where we left off. The next question that we have says, is congregational salat compulsory for women? And if no, how do you convince your spouse who might not understand that it is not compulsory for women to attend congregational salats?
Well, I don't know. This idea of congregational salat not being compulsory for women is being supported by many of our scholars. But I think, and I would want my scholars on this platform to please correct me. I'm a student, and I want to gladly learn, please. But what I understand is the hadith of um, one of the companions, female Sahaba of the Rasul. I'm trying to remember the name now. I'll remember the name very shortly. When he approached Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now remember, he approached, I think, I'll remember. She approached Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that she wants to come pray with him in the masjid. Now Rasulullah advised her. Now if you look at the context of the hadith, because once you take anything out of the context, you are most likely going to run into error. And I've had some of my scholars, and I know many of our scholars out there have said something, just that a lot of people have not really contrasted it the proper way. He said, so La Tuki. He was, because that woman, a particular woman came to Rasulullah and said, can I come to your masjid to pray with you? Rasulullah said, your prayer in your house, in your masjid, in the masjid of your house is better than the prayer in my masjid. And prayer in your parlor is better than the prayer in your masjid of your house, in your masjid of your people. The prayer in your bedroom is better than the prayer in your living room. I think you have the downward trend. Now, this question I've been posing to some of my respected scholars is, I think Juhaim. I remember the name before we did this session. Inshallah. Now, the text of the context of the hadith is that Salatuki, your prayer, not Salatul Mar'a, not prayer of a woman. You know why I said so? Because on the flip side, Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was addressing the companions, the male companions, he said, La tamna'u ima Allahi buyut Allahi. Do not prevent the female servants of Allah from going to the masjid of Allah for prayers. Now the question is this: would Rasulullah contradict himself, knowing fully well that the prayer of a woman in her bedroom is the best, and would tell the companions, don't prevent them from coming to the masjid for prayer? No, he won't do that. Number two, the female companions of the Rasul, we have records. I mean, this one is replete. The books is replete. The books are replete with all these traditions. The Rasulullah prayed in the masjid, male to the front, female to the back. This idea of lockdown barrier that we have built in our masjid today to lock up women is not part of the sunnah. And alhamdulillah, when I was in Medina, when we were in Medina, apart from the masajid that we visited, it discovered that the masajid that we built here in Medina, in Mecca, they are not the kind of masjid that we have even locally back home. Now, I need to do a video of one of the masjid that we visited, particularly in Uhud. We prayed, I think, Salat Zuhr and Azri in Uhud, when we went to see the matters of Uhud. And I discovered that the way they did their prayer, the female prayer room, is with the kind of a glass that is so beautiful, and the sisters at the back can see the Imam, or see the person that sees the person that sees the Imam. But in our own Nigerian experience, ways of doing things, when we build the female side, we make it so inauspicious, we make it so discomforted, we make it smelly, raggy, unkempt. Because we feel that, after all, the prayer of the sisters is better in their home, they don't pray at home. But the question I want to ask is, was that the practice of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the companions? Did they send women out of their masajid to go pray at home? And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, knowing fully well that the best prayer for a woman is in her room, is he encouraging the opposite of what he preaches? Well, if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew that the best prayer for a woman is to pray in her room, why would he allow the female companions to come? To the extent of political discussion and participation, Rasulullah did bay'ah for men, he did bay'ah for women, according to Allah's instruction. That shows that it takes another level of social engagement. Now, anyway, the point here is that I'm still a student of knowledge, I'm still learning, and I'm very avid and open to correction, please, for Allah's sake. But the little I know and I've gathered from my ulama is that this hadith, I'm trying to remember the name of it, maybe anybody can remind me, please, of this particular sister that went to Rasulullah is on al-muqayyad. It's not on al-mutlaq. It's not to be applied to general context. Because it only has to do with a particular woman who went to Rasulullah to ask a question. And Rasulullah answered him that Salatuki fi baytik, or direct, or masjid qawmik. And he referred to her with the second person pronoun. Not that Salatul Mar'a, like many of our scholars flaunt this idea. Allah, I pray to guide us all aright. So prayer in congregation for a woman, those people who are hafizah to the salat, they are like al-hafidun the salat. Allah praises in Surah Al-Ahzab. Okay? Allah praises women and men who observe prayer. Men and women who observe prayer. And we know that men and women go to the masjid of Rasulullah to observe prayer. This is the little I know, and like I said, I'm open to correction, and I can learn something new today, inshallah. Thank you.
Our next question says, can one pay zakat from his salary earned while working in the bank?
Okay, can one pay zakat from his salary earned while working in the bank?
Yes,
the first thing is working, yeah, good. Is working in the bank halal or haram? That's the first question here. If working in the bank, we need to understand the bigger picture now. If working in the bank is haram, it means that whatever you earn in that establishment is haram. If you're working in the bank is halal, then it means that whatever you earn is halal. Now, within that aspect, and kind of a middle course here, there are things that you do not because you actually want to do it out of darura. And I know scholars have explained this to a large extent. I need to explain because we, especially back home in our country, where we have so many, joblessness, and we're still trying to, the Islamic banking system is still growing, and then someone gets a job in the bank, and somehow the salary is not clear. So that becomes a darura until the person gets something better. Can hold on to that, ask Allah for forgiveness, and then you move on with life. Now, on whether you have to give zakat on that, honestly, I don't know. But if you consider it that what you're doing is a darura, just like someone who is dying out of hunger and gets the pig meat, okay, that's the only available meat for you to eat is the pig meat. And you eat it until you get a good meat because you cannot afford to die out of hunger when you have something to eat. If you still have something to eat, even if it is haram, you still have to eat the pork meat, and then until you get the normal meat, and then you can take it. You can take it on the land of bed.
Thank you very much, sir. So I'm going to start taking questions from the chat box now. This first question says, I just gained admission into a Baptist School of Nursing, which they said I should abide by the Baptist tenant worship throughout my program duration. I've been studying to get admission at any school of nursing, and they all failed. And they all failed at the final stage. Can I go for it regardless, or sort for another one elsewhere? The admission means so much to me, but I think it will affect my dean.
Alhamdulillah that you ended the question that way, that you are already seeing it. You're seeing the sign. You're seeing the sign that it could affect your dean, so stay away from it. Allah will open the better way for you, inshallah. The truth of the matter is that Allah is the provider. He will provide for you through means. This could be your trial, because you cannot throw away your akhirah on account of dunya. What happens to get the admission? Allah takes you back to himself. How would you explain it to Allah that you declared allegiance to something or someone other than the Almighty, where you know it? Not that you didn't know, you knew it. Now, 1. 2, there are other schools of nothing that you could take. Now, if you're still having problems with it, let's go through it together. Let's make dua over it together. And inshallah, I can assure you, Allah will bring ease after the moment of difficulty. Please don't lose hope. Please be strong. Please hold on. Please do not lose your deen. Please do not lose your akhirah on account of whatever you want to gain. Please hold on and be steadfast. Allah will strengthen you. Then for this person that wants to get admission to School of Nursing, maybe we can privately discuss all after. Then let's have discussion around it. I need to understand the explanation and detail around it. Maybe, mashallah, Allah can use one as a connector. I don't know anything, and I don't have any power, but Allah knows best. Let's try our best and see what we can do. Now, the name of the sister that went to Rasulullah to ask session of Salat was Humayd. Humayd. That's the name.
The next question says, is it permissible for a Muslim to join the Ahmadiyya group?
Whether it is permissible for a Muslim to join the Ahmadiyya group, number one is we need to understand what the Ahmadiyya group stands for. And I've had scholars talk about this, and the point here is this, that um, the area of question, the big question mark is that the Ahmadiyya group, yes, they believe La ilaha illallah. The question of Muhammad Rasulullah is still questionable as regards whether Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the last of all prophets, or there is another prophet in the name of Mirza Ghulam Ahmed, that is another prophet apart from them, amongst other claims and amongst other claims. I have some of my very good friends in this group, and I've not been able to discuss details with them about this issue of Ahmadiyya. And I know a few friends that have left the group on account of one or two things they have observed about it, which is not in line with the Sunnah. So I want you to, whoever the person is, before you join something, ask yourself, is it in line with what Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is it in line with what he epitomizes? Is it in line with what it stands for? Is it in line with his preachings and his teachings for the rest of his life? If it is, why not? If not, but if it is not, then you need to hold fast. Hold on, and then be in the mainstream of the ummah without swerving neither to the right nor to the left. I pray Allah will keep us steadfast on His path forever, inshallah.
Thank you, sir. Our next question says, what does one say in sujood when it is required in certain verses in the Quran?
I didn't get a question. Can you repeat it, please?
What does one say in sujood when it is required in certain verses in the Quran? Like you can get to like a verse in the Quran where you have to do sujood. So what do you say when you're in sujood?
Okay. That is a sajda to tilawa. Okay, the sujood when you make when you're reciting a portion of the Quran, you have to go to prostration. You say sajda wajhi, lilladhi fatara, lilladhi fatara samawa, lilladhi fatarahu wa sawwarahu, wa saw sajda wajhi, lilladhi fatarahu wa shaqqa sam'ahu wa basarahu bihawlihi wa quwwatihi, fatabarakallahu ahsanul khaliqin. My face prostrate to the Lord of the heavens and the earth, who designs it, who fashioned it with his howl, with his power and his might, right? And you say, Fatabarakallahu ahsanul khaliqin. Blessed be the name of Allah, the best of all creation, the best of all creator. This is what you say in Sajda Tilawa. I know the time may not be enough for us to learn it together now, but maybe all after we can, maybe I can send it to Salatifa, you can get it through her, and then we can just send it together with the meaning, that we can learn it through that process, because the time we have here may not be enough for us to learn it together, inshallah.
Thank you very much, sir. I would appreciate if maybe I can get the dua and then I'll send it to the person that asked the question, or if any other person is interested, I can drop it in the chat box. Maybe if before we finish, if we can get it, I can just send it to the chat box and we can all have it with us. Inshallah, the next question we have says, when someone says a lot of bad things about you and the person has refused to apologize, if one has refused to talk to the person despite coming to mitigate, is that not a sign of arrogancy?
Now, let me try to repeat the question again. Someone has said a lot of nasty things about you, but the person has refused to apologize for all the bad utterances, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned mediation. Okay, what is it about mediation now?
Then the person is saying that you now refuse to speak to them, and then despite the person coming to meet, despite people coming to like maybe interfere in the matter, you refusing to speak to the person, is that a sign of arrogancy?
But it depends on the context. For someone, the first thing is this. For the person who said nasty things about you, or about any Muslim, Allah tells us in the Quran that person is a fasik. The person who is always habitually an namam, habitually saying bad things about people, it's not only that the person is idle, but the person, in fact, Rasulullah says that person may not make Jannah. The person who makes it habitual, it's part of his own avocation, the job. whenever you see any like fault finding, you see any opportunity of lashing out at people, you say bad things, bad things, bad things. If the person who does that is only destroying himself or herself. Now, if the person realizes it, repents to Allah and apologizes, fine, it's okay. Then you forgive that person. If the person in utter stupidity did not realize it, did not come to apologize, then you can give a distance from that person. Because now we're talking about hurt now. Here we're talking about someone that hurts you with the tongue. You don't have to relate with that person. But don't allow shaitan, that's the caution here. Don't allow shaitan to settle into your mind that idea of, I will never have anything to do with that person again. In other words, like Allah tells in Surah to know about Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and the people who said some nasty things about Aisha, the daughter, on the case of Hadith al-Ifk. Abu Bakr vowed, that's where Allah cautioned him. We should not. Abu Bakr vowed, I will never talk to this person. I will never spend any money to it, because incidentally, the brother used to receive some goodies, some support from Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr vowed, I will never take care of this person again. Don't let it descend to that level. Okay? Now, if you will forgive that person, is better. But if you know that relating with that person is going to be hurtful, we're talking about someone who is habitually, it carries rumors or they're habitually used to saying some bad things about you. You can't stay with the person that constantly hurts you. So you can keep a distance from the person, but not with the mind of arrogance that I don't want to do anything, I don't want to have. If the person comes, Salaam alaikum wa alaikum assalam. It's okay. How are you doing? I'm fine. You don't keep malice with the person. You don't arrogantly say, I don't want to have anything to do with him. No. Let it be within the limits of the bounds of the Sharia. If the person repents and comes back and is sincere, then it's okay, no problem. The person is still in that state. You don't have to stay with the person who constantly lacerates you and hurts you. That is not also okay for you to do that. Allahu Alam.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm sure we'll pick something from that, because I mean, this is probably like a normal thing that might happen to anybody. So I hope that we'll learn from what the Imam has advised. Our next question says, please kindly advise on how a parent should deal with a male child who wishes to braid, lock, or wear its hair is in a manner that they consider as trending, but you love for the sake of modesty and decency. Jazakumullah.
Well, for a male child who wants to get dreadlocks and this kind of hair that is not in line with Sunnah, we need to stop him, encourage him on the path that is right, and encourage him to practice that which is sunnatic and not that which is bid'ah. And inshallah, but I want to say this, that it's a function of the training that you might have given to that child ab initio. And I want to use this medium to encourage all parents. You don't need your child to grow out of the formative years before you start taking steps on correcting. You need to stop it from the word go. No is no. You can't do this. Don't expose your child to the negative side of Western civilization. Don't expose your daughters to the negative side of Western civilization. And at the end of the day, when they're used to it, you now begin to look for corrective measures, such as, you now say, okay, you can't do it. Now that becomes a struggle. However, I don't know how old or young that the young man is. The best you can do as a father or a mother, stop him. And make it frank. Like Rasulullah Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, in dealing with his father and his people, it took bara'ah. At the point you need to call a spade, that I can't allow you to do this in the name of Allah under my roof. It's not possible. And you must stamp the food on that I can't take this. In the same vein, we don't have, like Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, when Abdullah was discussing with him that, oh, Daddy, I saw you in the battle of Uhud, you fell under or is it battle of Uhud or Babel, you came under my sword twice, but I feared it because you're my father. Then Abdullah was in the camp of the Kuffar. Did you know what Abu Bakr told Abdullah, the son? He said, oh, my son, too bad for you. If I had seen you when you're fighting for Kufr, I'll kill you. That tells you that the Hamasa, yes, he told the son. He said the Hamasa he had for Islam, for the deen, is more than the one he had for the child. Yes, Abu Bakr loved the son, but he loved Allah more than he loved the son. That's the implication. In the same vein, we should also develop ourselves, build ourselves, that when our child begins to mess up under us, then we should be able to call it that, hey, you will not do this under my roof. But you need to start building it. You don't start it from the later stage. You need to start it from the scratch. When the child is going, salat on time, hijab on the head, bab like this, you don't spare the child. Your askar, morning askar, evening askar, you have to do this. No, you can't do that. Don't allow the child freedom. If the child is moving with friends that you don't like, break them off, stop them. Because you're talking about the moral. You want to build children that we will be proud of as Muslim children in the moral. That's our hope and prayer. So I want to encourage parents to please take it very seriously. Now every child is a Muslim child, and we shouldn't allow those child to be derailed, so that we now later in life begin to now look for a way of correcting the anomalies that might have oozed out of that kind of relationship. May Allah have mercy on us.
I mean, our next question is, what is the Islamic injunction about horoscope?
Well, horoscope is, to the extent that I know, is haram. Why? Because here you're talking about you are looking for a gaib. Gaib here means you're looking for what is hidden. You're trying to search for it, my star, my destiny, who to marry, the kind of job or what have you. If all these are the things to search for, except someone can convince me that is not what horoscope stands for. If this is what horoscope stands for, you're trying to check your star or the palmist, what they do, and all these related or tangential issues to that, then it's haram. Because what Allah says in the Quran is very clear. وَعِنْدَهُ in Surah Al-An'am, وَعِنْدَهُ مَفَاتِحُ الْغَيْبِ. With Allah is the secret of unseen. لَا يَعْلَمُهَا إِلَّا هُ. Nobody has it and nobody knows it except him. So with this, it's clearly stated that a Muslim should not go, even when you go to, there's some people that call themselves the Malams, that they're actually palmists. They use the dog, they use his hand, they use whatever means. They search for, you want to search for your future, you want to do a job, you want to do something, you want to get married, you want to marry, who want to marry, which kind of thing. This is not a Muslim's lifestyle. To that extent, therefore, horoscope, or whatever you call it, is haram. And we should stay clear of it.
This question says, does Islam recognize zodiac signs? And what is the Islamic injunction on dreams?
I think this question is related to this horoscope question, right? Because zodiacal signs are the signs that, it has to do with the constellation of the stars. With that, you draw the zodiacal signs, and people use it to calculate some things and determine and say some things that actually is like delving into the unknown. Now, what the Sunnah of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam teaches us is that we should leave the unknown to the Almighty. What you know, you do. What you don't know, you leave. And one of the secrets of tapping into the unknown is dua al-istikhara. You want to embark on something, make dua to Allah. Ya Allah, I want to do this. If you know that it is the best for me, make it easy for me and bless it for me. If you know it is not good for me, or it's going to be bad for me in now or later in my akhirah, change it or substitute it with something better and bless it for me. This is in a nutshell what to say in dua al-istikhara. So, and if you look at the companions, they said that Rasulullah does teach them dua al-istikhara like he teaches them ayat of Quran. So it shows how important this dua is. A Muslim should always search from the Almighty, the ultimate knowledge, and not from the zodiacal signs and all this stuff. Because some of them are names with all these Greco-Roman names and others, which is not in line with Islamic tradition. So my encouragement is, let us stay clear of it. And Allah knows best.
This is a follow-up question to the question someone asked about someone working in the bank and money pays a cut. So this person says, does this include salary earners that save some part of their earnings? I don't know if you can remember the question, but someone was asking that if they work in the bank, can they pay zakat? So now the question is, does this include salary earners that save some part of their earnings?
Yes, before I go to that, I think the second part of that zodiacal sign question, if I can get
What
it,
is the
so that we
Islamic
can answer.
injunction on dreams? The person was asking for
On
Islamic
dreams.
injunction on dreams. Yes.
Islamic injunction on dreams. If you had a good dream, tell your loved ones, those who wish well about you, they should make dua for you. Those whom you know are your well wishers, they make dua for you. If you had a nightmare, what you call a bad dream, don't tell anyone. Make dua over it, seek for Allah's protection against it, and it will not happen to you. Now, there are some things that are not clear to us about dreams. What I encourage people, because some people, Allah has blessed us in myriads of ways. Some people have been blessed with some kind of interpretation of dreams that are close to being accurate. But my encouragement is, since this is not like a risala or a message that's been given to anybody, and nobody can claim an authority in it, to the best of my knowledge, the best thing is to go the Sunnah way. The Sunnah is, you had a good dream, ask Allah for it, and tell those who are your well-wishers to make dua for you. And don't keep going about places telling people, I had this dream, I had that dream. No. You had a nightmare, don't tell anybody. Report it back to Allah and pray for Allah's protection against it. Inshallah, Allah will take it off you. That's on dream. Now, for the person who earns salary from a bank, now it depends on what takes you to working in the bank in the first place. If it is as a result of darura, we're talking about darura here, that is, it's a matter between life and death. But you got no other option again, and that's the last option you have. Then you have to work there and while you're searching for other means of livelihood. In that instance, what you take, just like the example I gave, someone that ate pork. At the time you don't have any other thing to eat, eating pork becomes halal for you, even though it is haram. In the same vein, working in the bank at that point in time becomes halal for you. Now, I know most of our scholars, may Allah continue to bless them, they're developing, for example, Professor Alaro and others, they're developing the Islamic banking strategy. And I'm amongst other scholars and my brother in Kano, Dr. Bashir, and others, I've had cause to interact with him on this effort brothers are making to develop full-fledged Islamic banking system. And I know some banks are coming up in that regard, or just that the capitalist economic system that we operate now has not given it enough sway, the chance and to leverage, enough latitude to leverage funds. Be that as it may, if what you're doing now, consider it as a necessity on your part and do not see it as a last option for you. Pray Allah sincere, make sincere dua to Allah, and inshallah, Allah will open up your way. Inshallah.
I wanted to ask my own personal question with regards to the dreams. You said that when you have like a nightmare, just take it back to Allah. But then there's something I hear about speaking to your left and then reciting Surah to the class, Surah to Falaq.
Yes. Exactly. These are part of the things you do on the spot. I'm talking about the aftermath. The aftermath of you've had a dream. Now, while still sleeping, you had a dream and you wake up. Okay? Change your side. If you are laying down on your right, change to your left. If you are laying on your left, change to your right. Just change your side and do isti'adah. Speak to your left side 3 times and seek Allah's protection. If you can recite Ma'ud al-Tayn, Ikhlas, Falaq, and Nas, or Ayatul Kursi. And of course, we are recommended before you knock off every night, before you shut down, make the last recitation you make to be Ayatul Kursi. This is authentically reported by Abu Huraira on this aspect, so that Allah can use it to take away shayateen. Because the shayateen, the jinn, will not leave us alone. They will always want to create problems in the lives of men. So what we can do is to insulate ourselves with the protective insulators that Allah has given to us Muslims, and that is why it is recommended. The other answer I gave it based on the person who had the dream, right? Now, how do you manage it? You don't go about telling people about your nightmare. You talk to Allah about it. Then on the instance, that's what you said. It's very apt that change your side, speak to the left, seek for Allah's protection, and then you can continue to sleep.
Also, Asa, for that, I don't know if this is true, but just telling someone, maybe like if you had a bad dream, just telling someone mean that the dream will come to pass.
Rasulullah prohibits us from narrating your dreams, especially your nightmares to people. He prohibits us from it. You don't narrate nightmares to people. Talk to Allah about it. Okay? You talk to Allah about nightmares, not talk.
No, you can go on. You can go on.
I'm done.
Okay, I'm so sorry. This is also a follow-up to the question that was talking about children keeping their hair and dreads. This person says on dreadlocks and braids, the children cite the narration that the Prophet ﷺ braided his hair and also claim that it's more culture than faith. What's your opinion, sir?
Well, I don't know about this. I need to find out about dreadlocks, whether it is more of culture than faith. Now, what I know in our own environment, because we need to extrapolate and glean from our experiences. The dreadlocks, those who do dreadlocks, who are they? They're Rastafarians. Or those who are the Bob Marleys and all these Malians and what have you. They don't have, the outlook is not like Islam. Would you like your child to be like that? No, because there's a pattern here, and we have a way. Everybody has his own way, and the way of the Muslim is the way of the Sunnah. Now, appearance of a child, in terms of what is ma'ruf, customary in a society, those who have dreadlocks in our society, who are they in our society? The Bob Marleys, the Fela people, the Malians, they call it the Naira Marley, they call it Naira Marley. The people that have dreadlock. I mean, I don't want my child to behave like a Naira Marley. I don't want my child to behave like a Fela. I don't want my child to behave like a Bob Marley. Because I want the child to have the figure of a Muslim child. And that's what I think an average parent would want. Now, perchance if you go to another culture, another environment, maybe the Western society, where dreadlock is something natural, okay, fine. Until then, fine. If you get to a particular environment, other of the people is part of the jurisprudential deductive tools that you have to look at the order of the people. Is it part of the order of our people? Is it Yoruba culture to do dreadlock? Is it Igbo culture to do dreadlock? Is it Hausa culture to do dreadlock? What culture is it to do dreadlock? Looking at what is ma'ruf, what is known. None. So if it is not part of our culture, where is it coming from? External influence, musicals, subhanallah. So if this is what it's all about, to that extent, for now, we say dreadlock is not in line with Islam. And Allah knows best.
Thank you very much, sir. We still have a couple of questions, and we still have about 30 minutes plus to go, inshallah. This question says, Assalamu alaikum. How should we deal with teenage children that aren't keeping up with their salat despite parents teaching and modeling Islamic practices?
Teenage children that are what?
Teenage children that are not praying their salat despite their parents teaching and then modeling Islamic practices, but the children that are teenagers aren't keeping up with their salat.
Something is wrong with the foundation. Excuse me for saying that. Something is dead wrong with the foundation. If parents are avid at observing their salat, hey, how on earth can the child not take after them? But there are two things here. May Allah not make our Islam to be a musibah for us, or a trial for us. Because Allah knows us in and out. Sometimes we practice our Islam in a public glare. Everybody sees us outside. Oh, this is a hijab by sister. She's avid. She's doing that. What about the corner of the room? What about a house? A lot of us are locked up with Z walls. A lot of us are locked up in Arewa International. A lot of us are locked up in African Magic 247. And but when you go out, it doesn't add up that way. But what you project outside and what you do inside, they are not the same, then the children will bring it out. the children will bring out. They will bring out what we don't see outside, they bring it out through their conduct. But if what is inside, for example, you wake up for tahajjud, you do your azkar in the morning, you ask your child to come on board and do it with you. You observe your salah, you fast, fasting, you ask your child to do. A lot of us leave our children and we feel that they can take care of themselves, which is not right. Which is not right. Until later years, we now feel that, oh, the children are not listening. But at that point in time, we have outstanding commitment in the honor of Islamic propagation. But we missed the point ab initio. And that point is that we failed to pull along with us our children in the culture of Islamic practices. And this is just, I'm saying it because of experience. I've seen brothers who are very good brothers in terms of Islamic propagation, but back home, in their homes, there are gaps, either on themselves, on their wives, or on the two of them. These are the raising of their children the right way. Now, having said that, I need to also confess, sometimes it could be a fitna, a trial. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ease our fears. All the parents going through the challenges, may Allah ease our fears and make it easy for us all to move together in the path of istiqamah at all times. I mean.
We had someone raise his hand before. I don't know if he's still interested in asking his question verbally, but if you're here and you still want to ask your questions, I think we've run out of questions right now. So if anybody wants to ask their questions verbally to the Imam, I'd like that you raise your hand and then I would unmute and then you can ask your question. But I want to say very big jazakumullah khairan to you. May Almighty Allah reward you abundantly and continue to grant you beneficial knowledge. Thank you all so much for joining. I don't know if anybody has more questions. Would say wait for like 5 minutes. If we do not have any more questions, I think we can just round off today's session on this note. Thank you all so much. I say again, jazakumullah khairan for your time, sir, and our audience. Thank you so much for continuing to join us and continue to, and we hope that you've always and will continue to find our programs beneficial to you. I pray that Almighty Allah continues to bless us and continues to grant us all beneficial knowledge. Someone is saying that they want a special request for, sorry, I'm not special request for dua from Imam. Oh, right, because you are in, exactly. Please pray for us. You are at the Holy Mosque, and we know that it is from your mouth to Allah's ears. So please, I would like that you pray for us. May Allah accept all our prayers.
Well, I want, can I correct an impression here? As I stay with you, I'm not in a mosque, I'm not in Haram, I'm in my hotel room. Two is that I'm not better off than anybody in Nigeria, although I have the privilege of coming to Hajj, alhamdulillah, but that doesn't put me in a better position to make dua. What grants us the kind of the credential that validates we praying for ourselves may not necessarily be being in Haram, but we have this milieu and the pattern that, when you go to Hajj, and which is very, very correct, I need to confess, very, very correct, because Rasulullah said that the person who goes and performs an acceptable Hajj, then who goes back to his family, like the day the mother gave birth to him. That is very, very profound. But then I don't want you to look at me here, sitting here. I'm privileged to come to Hajj, alhamdulillah. That doesn't make me better. What validates or brings the prayer for ourselves to be important is the brotherly love between us. Do we love ourselves for the sake of Allah? Do we care for ourselves for the sake of Allah? Do we feel together for the sake of Allah? These are the things that make dua to go. If our hearts are against ourselves, even if we two of us are in Haram, the prayers cannot go anywhere. So it's on that basis, not because I'm in Mecca, but because on the basis of true love, true brotherly love. I want to sound like you have to pray for in Christian. Otherwise, I just keep confused. Well, I'm not better than anybody in Nigeria in making dua. Honestly, I'm not.
No problem, sir, but we'd still like you to pray for us. It doesn't matter where you are. We just would like you to pray for us. May Allah accept it.
Okay. In the absence of any further question, I want us all to make dua together for ourselves. First, we make dua for our country. being away from home, has so many happening back home. And I think it is when you are outside, you try to have a panoramic view of the how the country looks like, and it's very it's taunting. Sometimes it's taunting that you can't even think any further other than just to make dua. And I know a lot of brothers here, in some of the halakot that we have, we make sincere dua to Allah to have mercy on us and our nation. So I want us to start with our nation. May Allah change our condition for that with better in the best way. In the best way. Not in a way that Allah will use to punish us, but in a way that Allah will use to have mercy on us and take us away from zulumat, from darkness into light. Particularly, I pray for Muslims. Oh Allah. May we be Muslims that we're supposed to be. May we be Muslims. Because honestly, I think, and I might be wrong, I think